Hey guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell to be updated when new videos will be uploaded to my channel. Enjoy! Hello guys, it's Sapphire Morningstar and I'm here with the episode 4 of Cloak and Dagger, titled Call and Response. So basically in this episode, as we've seen in last week's, they're finally going to talk to each other. So the way this episode sort of set up is it sort of switches from seeing them talk to each other in the church, and then we switch over to what Tyrone's doing and what Tandy's doing. So it kind of switches between those three narratives. So in the church, they're basically discussing, they're getting to know each other and being open with each other. They end up discussing the little vision things they had. If you remember last week's episode 3, Tyrone did this sort of spiritual cleanse thing, and then he saw Tandy as a child, and then he sees her mother and father in his box with the Roxxon Corporation, and she's constantly running away until he convinces her to stop. And that is revealed that Tyrone can see people's fears, which kind of makes sense, especially if you remember the fear his mother had of pretty much losing both her children, and that's a fear for any parent actually is to lose your children. And then what Tandy sees is hope. Essentially, that's what she sees. She sees people's hope. So if you remember when she was slow dance with her boyfriend at that wedding they was trying to get the money from, she saw his hope, which I kind of felt bad for him now, because I'm like, oh, he really liked her. And she just, like, we actually, if now that I think about it, since she left, we haven't heard nothing from her boyfriend in a minute. So I have a feeling that hopefully, I hope we see him again, and I just hope I hope he doesn't have no hard feelings for him, sort of being caught by the police and questioned. I hope he doesn't hold that against her. Just saying. I hope he doesn't hold that against her. Hold no grudges. But essentially, that's what she sees. She sees people's hope. So they're discussing each other's power, and then they decided to basically sort of test the limits of their abilities. So they both close their eyes and focus, and her hands light up, we see the shadows, and they kind of fling each other across the room. So obviously, let's say that's not a good idea for them to do that for too long. They probably could do it for a short period of time, but it probably might be helpful if they need a situation that will probably require that much type of force, but probably once they learn to control it, then I would suggest they use it. But for right now, since this is still the beginning of them learning everything, lay off that aspect of it. And so their discussion in the church ends up going from a nice, decent discussion to this full-blown argument. What happens is they end up sort of comparing each other's privileges to each other. Tandy pretty much says, it starts off with Tyrone telling her to check her privilege, and she's like, my privilege, and talks about how she is essentially, homeless. Oh, that's so sad that you have both your parents coats on to. Because what she's talking about is an economic privilege, or his class privilege, because he's a middle class student. He has both his parents. He has a nice house to live. He goes to a pretty decent school. He has that's his class privilege. What he fusses about her is that he brings up the fact that her what she does is about, which is sort of conning people, and that nobody really questions her or looks at her as suspicious because she is a white female. And compared to him, he's automatically suspect when he goes into a store or anything. So what he's referring to her is her privilege of her whiteness, her white privilege. So they have this little spat of privileges, which we understand both are oppressed by the same system, but there's an advantage that each one has. One, with his parents with economic privilege, with him being where he is as a middle class with middle class parents, he could, he could afford some nice things, but if he were to do, but if they were to switch, and let's say Tyrone was to do the things that Tandy was doing, which way if you think about what she does, is not seen as suspicious at all. Is that she's a white female. Nobody questioned. She pretty much, if you remember everything that she did, nobody questioned her when she snuck into that. When she went into that club. Nobody questioned her when she went into that wedding. They were like, this assume, oh, it must be another friend that such and such knew, or maybe she's somebody's relative. It's no question. Nobody looks at her as suspicious. It's because she is a white female. She automatically is seen as an innocent individual. So there's this they had this little spat of privileges, which is like, but also notice another thing that that happened. I would say it was a gender issue, which was she brought up that and I really want to say, I mean, it kind of falls a little bit into the class privilege too, is when she bring up that she really can't press charges against the guy that tried to rape her, because one, she wouldn't have no money to fight him back because he has money, she doesn't, and two, she's a woman and they probably wouldn't take him seriously. So in that situation, that's both an economic privilege and a gender privilege situation that she would have to deal with. And so that's all that happened in the church. And then we get to see them, individually. And so we're gonna go with Tyrone. Obviously him and Avita, I believe that's her name is. Obviously we see they're getting close. He takes her to this sort of photography room, and they make out. Then we learned something about his dad too. That was interesting. I love it when parents have secrets, because I was like, aha, you have secrets, parent. What is your secrets? So anyway, what happens is Tyrone pretty much takes Tandy advice and saying that play the victim and try to get closer to getting his revenge on the police officer. And so she tells him to pretty much play the victim. So what he ends up doing is taking his bike, making it look like it was stolen. So the first time he tries this, he goes to the police, and he starts to get this anxiety. One, because he pretty much doesn't trust none of these cops after they didn't sit there and act like the man that killed his brother was all innocent and his brother was on drugs, and just swept it under the rug. So he's already suspicious about that. But also, as he said before in the church, he's a black male in the South of all places. And if you look at the current climate of our America, police and people and minorities, especially black people, the relationship between black people and police is not on good terms right now. It is not on good terms at all. So as he's looking around the police station, you can see sort of him getting kind of anxious, and the music is building up, so you kind of feel his anxiety, and he just leaves out of there. Like, I don't blame him, because I even get nervous around police, because it's just this fear of that, shit, if I make the wrong move, he might actually shoot me today. That's a fear, and many people don't understand that fear of, shit, I might lose my life today. That is a real fear when dealing with the police for black people. That is a real effing fear, and people don't understand that. That is a real fear. And so he ends up trying again, and he ends up coming back again, but he's more confident on the second time. So I'm like, yeah, there you go, boy. Woo! And what happens is, after the first attempt, his dad's like, I went into my tool shed and found his bolt cutters missing. And so he is taking the boy back, like, this is how your brother started out. Now, this is what I'm so upset about. I'm like, we get it. We understand you lost your first son, and your first child, Billy made some, terrible mistakes. But that doesn't mean you need to treat your son in this overprotective manner and think he's going to probably follow down the same path that his brother did. Everybody in this world has their own path that they must journey to the end. Wherever their road may lead them, whatever choice it make, they have to follow their path, and you trying to force your son into a path. Let him. He has his own path to walk. Let him walk it. You know what I'm saying? Let him walk it. So what he ends up doing, he ends up taking the son to the Knife War, where we be some Mardi Gras Indians. They're called the Red Hawks. I was like, what? Yeah. And so he ends up, learning a little bit about his dad, and we found out that Billy was actually in training to be the spy boy. The spy boy is a person that pretty much is like, what can I relate it to? That people understand. It's basically the person that's in front, a sort of, survey the surroundings before the head chief, walks the parade. I'm not sure what else I could correlate that to, but I know it's something else that people probably understand better. But I think that's a pretty good description. So we found out that his brother was in training to be the next spy boy, and so when he goes into the closet with because you have to make your costume, because you have to make their costumes every year, because and is a real delicate and really, if you ever seen the Mardi Gras Indians, like, it's really beautiful. The costuming is very intricate, and the beadwork is so beautiful. Like, I used to love seeing them at Mardi Gras when I was back home in New Orleans, because I'm from New Orleans. So I used to love seeing them, and oh god, it's so beautiful and gorgeous. So anyway, he goes in the back, and he ends up picking up a cloak. Turns out, not only that cloak, I feel he's gonna be wearing that probably come towards the end of the season. I feel that's when he's probably gonna actually start wearing that cloak, because it's called Cloak Dagger, and that's kind of like his superhero name, Cloak, because eventually he's gonna have to wear one. But anyway, but interesting and also is that the cloak was actually belonged to his brother. I'm like, oh, so sad. And that is pretty much all with Tyrone's situation, his story in this episode. So Tandy, okay, as you know, the mama is investigating the whole situation with, Roxxon Corporation. And she has this lawyer. Now, Tandy, we see that she has trust issues. We obviously know this. So she doesn't trust this man. She thinks he's just, sort of using mama, probably going through a marital thing with his wife. And he just needs a little nookie on the side, basically. But he's cooking them some dinner. And she, when she touches people, she sees the hope. So she sees his hope. So his hope is to eventually own his own restaurant and eventually marry her mom, because they talking about walking over the threshold. I'm equating that to marriage, because when you pick up a woman over the threshold, that's usually something you do. When you're married, like, we're gonna enter. I'm picking you up, and now we're gonna enter this new house as husband and wife, essentially starting our new life together, essentially. And so I was like, oh, so, so she sort of opened up, warmed up to him. So she decides to help him out with an investigation. So he found out, since the oil rig, he's been realized there's a lot of paper trails going on. You gotta track that money. See, when you trace that money, you get a lot of information. So what happened is, Tandy ends up finding out that her mama broke up with the boyfriend. But I'm like, no, mom, no, he really is a good guy. He really likes you. No, mom. So she ends up going to the office, try to, do some more work with your boy on the case. Then we see this delivery woman come in, shoot the man in the head. I'm like, what? And then pretty much try to burn all the information he has gathered. So obviously he was on to something. That's because if you wasn't on to something, there would be no reason for that corporation to send an assassin to essentially kill you. And I kind of feel bad for Tandy, because that's way too much death to be seeing as a child, as a teenager. Like, she ain't even a grown woman yet, and she already has this much trauma on her already. She done got sexually assaulted. Her dad died. She done seen a really good guy get shot and his stuff get burned. Like, I feel sorry for this girl. Oh my god. Like, girl. So she ends up going back after the fire has died down, and to retrieve some files from the safe, which, if they still have anybody watching that man's office, she's probably in danger. So hopefully she will learn how to use some of that light stuff and start defending herself. Like, girl, these green corporations don't be playing in these superhero films, boy. They don't play. But however, her mom does not yet know that he's dead. Like, she doesn't know Greg's dead, because when she goes back to the house, she hears the mom pretty much leaving a six messages on the phone. I'm like, oh my god. Oh, I'm like, oh, her mama's not gonna take this well, and I feel bad for the mom, because you gotta think about it. The mom lost another love of her life due to this same corporation. I don't know if her mama's gonna be able to handle a second death, because she lost her husband because of the damn corporation, and he didn't lose him because of corporation, but if you think about it, it kind of did. I guess, I guess it'd be a 50-50 issue. Because one, he shouldn't have been talking and driving on the phone with his little child in the back, in the back of the car. But also is the fact that, once he died, then it sort of, ruined this man's reputation, making him seem like, it's sort of irresponsible, and it was his fault. This rigging has, exploded, this pretty much essentially ruined this man's character, and not only that, but you ruined the lives of his family. You took their house, their money, so this woman could provide for her daughter. Like, he has a wife and a child to provide for, so who knows how much money he has saved up or anything, and now all that's gone, and she can't. And as a woman, as a mother, parent, she can no longer provide for a child. That's a lot. That's a toll on a parent. And not only that, but the man that she really liked, who happens to be a lawyer, who likes her too, and it was gonna try, do a nice little life together, and open up a nice little business, a nice little shop. Cause he look like he cooked good too. So he would open up a nice restaurant, and probably, maybe, I don't know how old the mama is. Maybe, she have another baby. I don't know how old she is. But anyway, probably start a nice little, or maybe they could have got a puppy or dog. We don't know. But anyway, now his life is gone thanks to the same damn corporation. So now we getting, more and more into this little Roxxon corporation. So obviously we know this corporation up to something, because no corporation is going to still be doing that much work after a damn rig explodes. I'm sorry. So obviously whatever the hell they was doing in that oil rig, they putting a lot of money into it. So we definitely going to be seeing more about this corporation. And obviously, an aspect of their argument, because when you argue with a person, sometimes you say things you really don't mean. And Tyrone, I'm talking about when it was in church. Tyrone tells, because Tandy ends up saying, that she feels like committing suicide. So in the midst of, their heated argument, he pretty much tells her to, pretty much stop talking about it and go do it. I'm like, ooh. So what she ends up doing is she ends up actually trying to commit suicide. She actually takes these chains, wraps it around her legs, which I'm like, will it actually work? Can she doesn't... Because it's just the way they had her do it. That just made me look like, and then she had rope for hands that she really didn't tie her hands up. She just sort of wrapped it around her arm. Like, you could probably get out of that. I mean, it's probably harder to get out of it underwater. That's probably make it more difficult. But the way she did it just made it look like she was like wrapping a rubber band around her arm. Like, really, is that really gonna be enough to keep you from trying to save yourself from drown? It's just, maybe I think that scene could have been executed a little bit more. Maybe if she would have like wrapped the chains around both her feet and then tied it with a lock, maybe, or maybe had like a brick on it or something, or maybe got some handcuffs for her hands and then put them in, maybe that was just the only thing I was nitpicky about this episode. It's like, really? I don't know why that was nitpicking. Maybe it's because I watched so many movies and I've seen people do things, try to kill other people, and it usually involves chains majority of the time, or rope, and you see them tied pretty good. So maybe that's why I'm so nitpicky about it, because I've seen it before in movies, and the way she just did it just did not sit right with me. Like, I don't think that's how you do that. But anyway, so when she ends up jumping in the water and she ends up freeing herself with her dagger, so I'm guessing she has a new zest for life. And We gotta get this corporation, girl. We gotta get this corporation. And I'm saying it means, and when it comes to the corporation like this, who know how much they got their hands into? Because obviously we know they have some in the police department. Because I'm pretty sure that dude that Tyrone's after that killed his brother had something to do with that corporation. It's got to be corporations like this in supposed to be superhero movies. They always got their hands in a little bit of everything. Police department, the healthcare, for anything that will be valuable to keeping their secrets and stuff safe. So, anyway, I want you guys to come and subscribe to what you loved about this episode. And I will see you guys next. I'm going to try to make sure I do these things every Saturday. So, look out on Saturdays. So, next Saturday is episode 5. And July's coming up, guys. So, that means some Attack on Titan and some Gifted season 1. Because we're getting ready for season 2 this fall. As well as Fairy Tail is... Oh, Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail's last season is going to be this fall. Oh. So, I'm going to do those too. I'm going to do a bunch of Fairy Tales. It's going to be coming up soon too. So, that's kind of like the 3 things I have planned so far. Is Attack on Titan season 3, Gifted season 1 reviews, and of course the Gifted when it's season 2 when it airs this fall, and of course Fairy Tail, and that's a lot of Fairy Tail. I think it's 8 seasons total, with season 8 actually being about Fairy Tail 0, which is sort of the creation of Fairy Tail, but it actually gives us the backstory that we need before this final season airs of Zeref. Well, with Zeref interactions with Master Mavis, the first master of Fairy Tail. But learning more about Zeref is definitely something we're gonna need coming into this final season, especially if you watch Fairy Tail. Now I haven't read the manga, so I don't want to spoil